Hello everyone, how are you? Hope all of you are well and safe at home. This class is for H3, Introduction to Linguistics, and H4, Approach and Methods of Language Teaching. Today we will start Second Language Acquisition, that is SLA. Second Language Acquisition or SLA is L2 acquisition, that is second or another language rather than the native language, is the process by which people learn a second language. Second language acquisition is also the scientific discipline devoted to studying that process. The field of second language acquisition is a subdiscipline of applied linguistics, but also receives research attention from a variety of other disciplines such as psychology and education. Second language acquisition theories. Behind every teaching approach is some kind of a theory of language learning or acquisition. Second language acquisition theories are intrinsically related to a wide variety of disciplines such as applied linguistics, sociolinguistics, psychology, neurology, and education. Various theories and models have been emerged over the years to study the process of language acquisition. Here are the four famous theories of second language acquisition. Behaviorism, that is started by Pavlov and Skinner, influenced the audiolingual method, which understands the best way to learn a language is through drills, memorization, and dialogues. Then is nativism, that is started by Chomsky. We are all born with universal grammar and innate ability to understand the grammar of our first language. Then come monitor theory. It is led by Gresham. This theory is a group of 5 hypotheses that focus on the relationship between a learner's ability to subconsciously and consciously learn language. And the fourth one is social constructivism. It is led by Vygotsky. Human development is socially situated and knowledge is constructed through interaction with others. 3 main schools of thought provide theoretical paradigms in language acquisition. The first one is behaviorism, Skinner's behaviorist theory; innatism, Chomsky's innatist theory; Gresham's monitor model or monitor model theory. Behaviorism 1940s to 1950s. F.B. Skinner, based on I.P. Pavlov's research, he thinks that our mind is tabula rasa, that is a blank slate, means there is nothing when a baby is born. Skinner said, "Give me a child and I'll shape him into anything." Behaviorism is a precursor to cognitive learning. Language is behavior defined as a set of habits, can be taught, learned as any other behavior. Teaching should be done through conditioning. Consequences determine behavior. For example, reward or successful communication. According to B.F. Skinner's behaviorist theory, learning is the result of imitation, word-for-word repetition of someone else's utterances, practice, repetitive manipulation of form, feedback on success, positive reinforcement, and a habit formation. The nature of language learning according to the behaviorist theory. The first is language is learned through stimulus, then response, reinforcement. Audiolingual method and behaviorism. It is a method for teaching foreign languages popular in 1950s and 1960s. It is supported by this behaviorist theory of Skinner. It does not use mother tongue to explain vocabulary or grammar. Students drilled in the use of grammar in the target language. English is taught through discussion, conversation, and reading in the second language. Students learned language through a series of drills involving imitation, repetition, and practice. Richards and Rogers, 2001. Behaviorist view. Behaviorist view the process of child language acquisition is in the following steps. Imitation, reinforcement can be negative or positive. Reinforcement will trigger general stimulus. Then repetition, memorization, controlled reading, and reinforcement. Noam Chomsky's theory of innatism. 1959. Language is an innate capacity a child's brain contains. Special language learning mechanism at birth. Every child has a language acquisition device. Children need only minimum language exposure to prime the LAD, that is language acquisition device. Human brain is ready innately for language in the sense when children are exposed to speech, certain principles for discovering and formulating language automatically starts to operate. The LAD theory. Chomsky asserted that children were born with a hardwired language acquisition device. Chomsky asserted that children were born with the instinct or innate facility for acquiring knowledge. The LAD is a postulated organ in the brain supposed to function as a congenial device for language acquisition. LAD encodes the major principles of a language and its grammatical structure into the child's brain. This theory contradicted B.F. Skinner's theory of behaviorism and operant conditioning. Krashen's theory of second language acquisition consists of 5 main hypotheses. The first one is the acquisition learning hypothesis. The second one is the monitor hypothesis. Third one is the natural order hypothesis. Fourth is the input hypothesis. And fifth is the effective filter hypothesis. Learning versus acquiring. According to Krashen, there are 2 independent systems. The acquired system is the product of a subconscious process. It requires meaningful interaction in the target language. The learned system is the product of formal instruction and learning. It involves a conscious process which results in conscious knowledge about the target language. The acquisition learning hypothesis. This hypothesis actually fuses 2 fundamental theories of how individuals learn languages. Krashen has concluded that there are 2 systems of language acquisition that are independent but related: the acquired system and the learned system. The acquired system relates to the unconscious aspect of language acquisition when people learn their first language by speaking the language naturally in daily interaction with others who speak their native language. This acquired system is at work. In this system, speakers are less concerned with the structure of their utterances than with the act of communicating meaning. Krashen privileges the acquired system over the learned system. The learned system relates to the formal instruction where students engage in formal study to acquire knowledge about the target language. For example, studying the rules of syntax is part of the learned system. The monitor hypothesis. The monitor hypothesis seeks to elucidate how the acquired system is affected by the learned system. When second language learners monitor their speech, they are applying their understanding of learned grammar to edit, plan, and initiate their communication. This action can only occur when speakers have ample time to think about the form and structure of their sentences. The amount of monitoring occurs on a continuum. Some language learners over-monitor and some use very little of their learned knowledge and are said to under-monitor. Ideally, speakers strike a balance and monitor at a level where they use their knowledge but are not overly inhibited by it. The monitor hypothesis consists of conscious learning is limited in SLA. Acquisition has the central role. Learning functions as a monitor. The monitor acts in planning, editing, and correcting function. 3 specific conditions needed to use monitor: sufficient time, focus on form, know the rule. When monitor is not used, errors are natural. The natural order hypothesis. This hypothesis argues that there is a natural order to the way second language learners acquire their target language. Research suggests that this natural order seems to transcend age, the learner's native language, the target language, and the conditions under which the second language is being learned. The order that the learners follow has 4 steps. For 1, they produce single words. 2, they string words together based on meaning and not syntax. 3, they begin to identify elements that begin and end sentences. 4, they begin to identify different elements within sentences and can rearrange them to produce questions. The input hypothesis. This hypothesis seeks to explain how second languages are acquired. In its most basic form, the input hypothesis argues that learners progress along the natural order only when they encounter second language input, that is, one step beyond where they are in the natural order. Therefore, if a learner is step 1 from the above list, they will only proceed along the natural order when they encounter input that is at the second step. So, in summary, we can say the input hypothesis is only concerned with acquisition, not learning. The L2 learners improve when they receive L2 input. Human acquires language is only way by understanding messages or by receiving comprehensible input. Comprehensible input, understanding of input language that contains a bit beyond. The current level of competence is I, and +1 means a bit beyond the above I. Then speech will emerge once the acquirer has built up enough comprehensive input. That means if the learner has enough input inside him, then he can produce I+1, the above level output. Here is the diagram of input model. Look, there is comprehensible input and effective filter, they filtering it, then the language acquisition device led it internalize the input, then acquired knowledge, and then output. Before output there is monitoring, that is learned knowledge, what the learner know, then they monitor their knowledge and then do the output. This is the input hypothesis model of L2 learning and production, adapted from Krashen 1982. The effective filter hypothesis. This hypothesis describes external factors that can act as a filter that impedes acquisition. These factors include motivation, self-confidence, and anxiety. For example, if a learner has very low motivation, very low confidence, and a high level of anxiety, the effective filter comes into place and inhibits the learner from acquiring the new language. Students who are motivated, confident, and relaxed about learning the target language have much more success acquiring a second language than those who are trying to learn with the effective filter in place. So, if the motivation is high, self-confidence is high, anxiety is low, what will happen? The result will be successful learning. Again, the motivation is low, self-confidence low, anxiety high. What will be the result? Obstacles in learning. So these are the filter of a learner. If it's vary learner to learner, so the learning process also vary from learner to learner. The filter hypothesis. A number of attitudinal variables affected SLA: motivation, self-confidence, anxiety. Today, up to this, still if you have any confusion or query, do comment in the comment section. Thank you everyone.